I thank the California Democratic leader and want to say very simply that members come and go on the Hill, but some you can't imagine leaving. Tonight I rise to honor two public servants whose departure will leave an extraordinary void for years to come. Like the giant redwoods of California, these men are giants of the Congress. Representatives Henry Waxman and George Miller have honorably served the state of California in this chamber for a combined 80 years. We've heard that earlier, exactly 40 each. Both arrived in the shadow of Watergate, ushering in a new era of strong congressional oversight. They led some of the most significant legislative achievements in our history and set the gold standard for active oversight for all who follow. Representative Waxman, the mustache of justice, never backed down. His book chronicling his congressional investigations, The Waxman Report, is the Bible for conducting effective oversight and holding industry and government officials accountable. His work combating the tobacco industry is one of the greatest public health achievements of the last century. But it's only one of many accomplishments, including the Clean Air Act, the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Affordable Care Act, and holding the Bush administration accountable throughout the Iraq War. His truth serum inquiries caused plenty of CEOs to squirm and brought American consumers cleaner air, water, and quality of life. His stature in this Congress is iconic, and his oversight techniques are legendary. He will always be remembered as the Grand Inquisitor. Representative Miller was mentored by Philip Burton, who famously said, "People sent me to Congress to kick A and take names." Well, George Miller took that to heart, making his presence felt on the House floor through passionate speeches and actions to match. He didn't mince words or volume. George looks like a warm teddy bear, but much like a teddy bear, he is ferocious in protecting his children. All the children in this country. He worked to protect educational opportunity for low-income students and children with disabilities from preschool to graduation. Even in his final days of service, he has worked to expand access to early childhood education through a new White House initiative. He has also been an unwavering champion for working families in our environment. He fought pay discrimination with the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, has worked to keep college accessible for all, and conserved the California landscape through his tireless efforts to preserve San Francisco Bay. As chairman of the House Natural Resources Committee, Mr. Miller helped pass the Central Valley Project Improvement Act of 1992, which increased water allocations for San Francisco Bay and the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta. And he spent the last 20 years defending those precious gains which benefit the Bay Area's wildlife, endangered species, and commercially critical salmon runs. When George Miller arrived in D.C., he was intent on extending affordable health care to all, and thanks on the Education and Workforce Committee, nearly 11 million people are newly insured under the Affordable Care Act. It's not often that members achieve such lofty goals in Congress, but his masterful work has led to a law for the history books. Henry Waxman and George Miller have represented the great heights in this chamber and what can be achieved. I hope that we can all learn from their example and emulate their legacy.